Hey everybody, this is a surprise live video. So I was really just on pins and needles about this live show because I mentioned it yesterday on my video when I was on the ferry and the two crazy Christians came spewing that rhetoric to me and my son and how I reacted. So I wanted to begin a weekly live stream because I've noticed in the last month, I'm so happy that my subscriber list has taken off. And to all of my subscribers that have been with me for the last couple of years, just begin to peel back the layers. And now that I'm just in a better place to begin peeling back the layers and showing you who I am and actually giving you more value and more content on this channel. I'm like, what better way to do that than to just come out live and get comments, interact, and begin to build, especially with this channel being a channel for people who are questioning their traditional religious beliefs, are coming into this conscious world, but not in that sense where I want you to go ahead and give me $1,500 for this retreat. It's really taking that everything that you're feeling, you have questions, you're feeling uneasy, and you want to do better. You want to just be a better person. And what better way to do that than to have a community or some kind of platform where you can interact with other people? I'm honored, that I found myself in this place to be the face for leaving Christianity and, really challenging a lot of the traditional things that were instilled in us as Black women and as little Black girls negatively, and actually reversing that. I don't have to remain that way my entire life. I have the choice to eliminate certain toxic people out of my life, and I have the right and the ability to invite those who are promoting a positive growth in me, or modeling that positive journey. So, like I said, I did not let anybody know that I was going live. So, I probably won't see a lot of comments until I upload this or until it's made available tomorrow because the time is kind of off. I'm on the East Coast over here. So, what I want to talk about tonight, and I did this because of my nerves. My nerves, I know that this is a sensitive topic, but with everything going on right now, that documentary that just came out, Surviving R. Kelly, I could not do a video on that without getting emotional. And I have a video on my channel where I listed, where I talked about I had to testify in a case where an adult male groomed a preteen victim to perform sexual acts. And so that just hurts me very deeply. And I felt myself where I couldn't maintain my composure in talking about any of that. So I don't know, I might hit on it in this video if someone comes in with a question, or I might just, leave it at that. But for those of us who are not in this sisterhood of failure, and that's how I tie all this in together, sisterhood of failure and toxic womanhood. Because when I watched that series, I saw how, yes, we have this man, R. Kelly, who is a monster. And we have those associated around him who are also complicit in those acts and who watched and had knowledge of all of these things happening, yet they did nothing. And I look at R. Kelly's sister, who, as they stated, was a monster who molested her siblings, his mother, and other people who made this monster that is R. Kelly, and those who continue to enable him. I won't say enable because he has the right to, I mean, he's an adult, he has the ability to do what he wants to do, but those who still are supportive of this. And I heard that yesterday in Chicago, there was a party that R. Kelly made an appearance at, and there was grown women there, and there was also juveniles who snuck into this place allegedly, and they're like the quote was, take me hostage, and just being further examples of toxic womanhood. And I can say one of the best things that has happened to me is that when I did, as most people would put a quotation on it, become awake or leave the church, one of the best things I did was it made me start looking within and looking without, seeing what I have, the things that influence me negatively and positively that made me the woman that I am, as well as the reflection of those around me who are mirroring what I am. So that was one of the best things that happened to me because it caused me to look at some things, between my mother and I. And speaking of my mother, she's gotten better over the years because she, had came out of the church, and she really started holding herself accountable and responsible, and has began the journey to repair some of the things that was not so good with us and our children. I stated in the video with me and my sister that I joined the war on terror, to get out of my mama house because she was just she just got on my nerves. And one of the things that really irks me within the black community with black women, especially black mothers and their daughters, is that once that it's a saying that you'll start feeling yourself or you start smelling yourself. And then that's when our mothers kind of treat us daughters like women on the street. Like they'll go and fist fight us, call us bitches and tramps and tricks and sluts and hoes, and accuse us of doing some of the most nastiest things in the world. And having my psychology background, and I look at all these different things within the families and developmental things like that, it's like it's passed down, and it's definitely a toxic womanhood. And I'm like, wow, so my mother, got some of the things that she did from her mother. And when I hear these stories get recycled and passed down, I'm like, wow, okay, now that we know that these things have happened, now that we know that these are adverse, it causes our children to be adverse, and it keeps this toxic ball rolling. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? And I credit my decision to join the military because it gave me a chance to get away. I got out of Cincinnati, and I was able to develop without that influence, and it definitely made me a better mother, to my son, where he doesn't have a hatred for black women, where he wants to, he does everything to disassociate himself with being a black man and involved in the black community. And I pride myself with that. I'm really happy that I was able to make a change so that when he grows up and his wife, she'll be a beautiful woman. He'll choose a beautiful black woman, and his children, they'll be proud to be black. And I can look and see the positive things that I instilled in him and the positive decisions that he makes that's showing through his choices and a spouse and his children and so forth. I, asked the universe, to keep me alive so I could see my grands, my great grands, and hopefully my great 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 grands, and see the positive changes over time. And I talked to my mom the other day, and I think it was she brought up something, or I brought up something to her. And I told her, it was a decision that she made when I was younger. I talked to her, and she watches my channel. I probably would give her the link to this video, and she's going to watch it. And I speak about her in the highest regard. And what she said the other day really, like, really healed my heart, because it was decisions that she made when we were younger, and it really had a lasting effect to me to this day, where I had to bring that up to her attention. And she actually apologized. She apologized a couple of times for it, and we talked about it. And I'm so happy that when I brought that to her attention, she didn't deny it or make an excuse for it. She listened, and she internalized it, and she humbly apologized. And that really made me feel good. And because I brought up to her, it's just some things that's evident in my siblings and myself. And I'm like, Mom, these things were not wise. So I'm happy to share that with everyone who is here, who has joined me. Thank you for being here with me. Wayne, try to reach your comment, but it keeps disappearing. People who leave the church need time to diffuse after all that psycho trauma. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because when I found myself out of the church, I just needed a period to just kind of like debrief. When something traumatic has happened, as far as, like, let's say some people was held hostage or something, and then they go to a victim debrief, and they go through different counselings and stuff like that to kind of make sense of everything. And I truly believe that there is phases after you come out of Christianity and religion. There's phases that you go through. I mean, initially when I was first coming out of it, I was shocked, like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is a lie. I've been lied to. And I was angry. I was on some get back type stuff, and that has changed. It went from being angry at the church, and then it went to defending my position and how I felt about that. And that's when, you kind of are forcing people to hold themselves accountable. Like, no, you cannot get by with doing that just because you said that God is still working on you. No, you're going to hold yourself accountable. And I'm actually getting into that when I get into this list. So I was kind of unsure on what to name this video. Lady K, what led to you leaving Christianity? Okay, I would say exactly how I left. It was, I think it was March of 2014. I was living in Norfolk, Virginia. And around that time, I had just moved from Newport News to Norfolk with my ex-husband. And as we were driving through the neighborhoods, we had found this store called the House of Consciousness. It was on 30th, I think that's 30th Street in Norfolk, Virginia. You're, you're from Norfolk? Okay, see, Mr. 757. So I went to the House of Consciousness, and I really loved that because even though I was still a Christian, I still said dumb stuff like, okay, I'm gonna just be a Christian. I'm not black, but I still had those seeds planted into me. Like, I loved everything black. I really, love Black history. Rosa Parks, when she was arrested, that occurred on my birthday. Of course, I wasn't born in the 60s, but every year I think about her on my birthday so that I don't have to think about World AIDS Day on my birthday, December 1st. So when I saw the RBG flag outside of the House of Consciousness, I'm like, okay, it's a black bookstore. I got to go in there. And the next time I had some time off, I was just in the area, I went in there and it was just beautiful. I met a brother named Brother Olmec. So if you head over there, you'll meet Brother Olmec and Sister Drea and Brother Righteous. And of course, I went in there. They offered me something. They were like, "Hey, sister, why don't you try out this book or something?" I'm like, "Was it talking about God in the Christianity? Because I only serve the Lord or something." And they didn't make me feel bad about saying that. They're like, "Hey, you need to read your Bible. Do you know this book?" I'm like, "Yes, I know. I did the program where I read the Bible in a whole year, and I know my Bible." Apparently, I ain't know dilly squat. But they didn't make me feel ashamed of it. It was just like, "Hey, you need to read it with some new eyes." And they had gave me a flyer to a lecture. And the lecture that was coming up was The Irritated Genie. And his lecture was the effeminization of the black man. And I had went to it. I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna go." And I went and I checked. It was for 2 nights. I went that first night, and it was a Saturday night. And the lecture was so, like, eye opening. Oh my gosh. He was showing clips from this movie called Goodbye Uncle Tom. I had never heard of it. And I'm sitting there watching it, and he actually was talking about some things in there too about R. Kelly and the Notorious B.I.G. lyrics where they were talking about, indecent liberties with children. And I'm like, oh, wow, like, I listened to this stuff. Like, this ain't right. This is not right. And I'm a mom. And at the time, with my ex-husband, I had two preteen daughters at home. I'm like, this ain't right. I'm about as dirty as they are, So it really gave me an eye opener. So then he was going into the history of Christianity and tracking it from Rome into the U.S. And At the end of his lecture, it was so funny because it was like, who is your black god? And so on the screen, he pulled up a picture of Caesar Borgia, which, Jesus pulled that picture up. I was like, is that Jesus? I was like, yeah, that's Jesus. Or he was like, who's that? That's Jesus. Then there was another picture of a blue-eyed blonde or blue-eyed guy, and I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi from but we're like, that's Jesus. And we're like, no, that's not. And then there was another one he put up, is this Jesus? And he had Triple H, and he was just going on. And it was like, wow, who is our black God? Who is this that I'm praying to? Who is this and I'm thinking is going to come save me? Who is this that my ancestors prayed out to and called out to in the name of, who never came to, cut one noose off a tree or to free one person out of slavery? And so I ran home with the information. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is deep. Ran home. My husband, ex-husband now, was talking about, like, hey, this was happening. I need you to come with me. Come check this out. Like, this is deep. And so I'm sitting with the Bible. I'm going through scripture to try to answer those questions. And I'm like, wow, okay, we're not getting answers. So the next day, we got dressed. We went to our mega church. And of course, I couldn't sleep. I really did not want to go, but because that was what we were doing, we're a God-fearing household. We have Jesus umbrella, then you got the husband umbrella, then you got the wife umbrella, all that stupid stuff. And in church, I'm sitting there like, wow, why is he not talking about these things in the Bible that are in there? He's not talking about them. Hey, Cam, how are you? And I'm like, okay. And then when it came time to get up and pray, I stayed sitting down. When it came time to sing, I sat down. I'm like, wow, this is deep. Like, they're not talking about jack shit in here. And I think that was the moment when my ex-husband and I, like, we were like, you know what? We about to start going on two different directions, because I said, babe, will you please come to the lecture tonight? Let's go and check this out, because there is something deeper going on. It's not okay to say, look, I'm not black, I'm Christian. It's not good to say that right now. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening, and please come out. He didn't want to. So I went by myself. And yeah, after that, I never went back to church after that. Never went back. I started looking within, and I'm like, okay, these are questions, these are things. And that's when it turned on a switch. Like, okay, I need to find out the history of who I am. What has been stolen from my people? What is the history? Why are we in this predicament? Why is this going on? And at that time too, I was going through a lot of racism on the job, and I talked about that on my Facebook page. I don't want to talk about that tonight, but I might talk about that eventually on this channel. I just went through a lot of racism at work, and each time, I was praying, I was calling the prayer line, I sent extra money to buy a blessing and to buy this. And the only person that was there to save me was another black person. She was there, she got me through it, and that was the only person who showed up. And I refuse to say, well, it was the God in her or Jesus acting through her, whatever. It was her. I see her. I touch hands with her. When I called, she answered the phone. She was there for me. And that's when, I stopped believing in the fairy tales, and I started believing in what I can see, hear, and feel. Cam says, that's how I was to my way out. I was like, where the fuck is God doing all this suffering here on earth? Exactly. And that's when it caused me to really look deep inside. And at that time, I started losing a lot of friends. I had a good friend who, ironically, she wasn't there for me when I was going through a lot of the racism and stuff. She was nowhere to be found, but she was, a prayer warrior. And the moment I started revealing these things on Facebook, you want to start sharing the knowledge. Like, look, hey, just found this out. And then you get more memes, and then you unfriend these people and grab these friends. And so I think what happened was I had shared a post, because I went from hearing the irritated genie at the House of Consciousness, and then I still wanted to kind of go into that realm where, okay, Jesus was black. So I went into that realm. and I started listening to Ray Hagans. And this was before Ray Hagans and the Irritated Genie had fell out. I went to Ray Hagans because I heard that he was a retired police officer. And if y'all don't know it by now, when I lived in Virginia, I was a police officer over there. So I'm like, okay, it's making sense now. And I shared something about him on Facebook, and this so-called prayer warrior friend I had, oh, we fell out publicly right there on social media. We fell out right then and there. And that's what I wanted to talk about, this toxic womanhood and, sisterhood of failure, and how to avoid it, how to escape it if you're already in there. And my advice to you is, as I said, you have to look within and start peeling back the layers on what negative influences made up you. Brothers, I'm glad that y'all joined me, because I can't speak on that level just yet for the brothers, but as a woman, like, it really takes soul searching and looking deep. So I'm going to tell you about, I don't know how many I have here, but seven or eight types of females that I cannot hang around no more, because once you come into this new place of realizing who you are as, a black woman, as a mother, as a sister, when you take responsibility and hold yourself accountable for things that are happening around you, there's just some, I'm gonna call them females, because womanhood, I believe there's two different types of people. I mean, two different types of a woman. Okay, you have females who sit down to pee, who can have children, and then you have a woman who can give life, who could nurture that life, and start and finish an entire successful generation and put that into action. Okay, so I think that's where you know a lot of our drama can stop once we identify who we associate with. Are you associating yourself with a female who, has all the parts, who sit down and pee, or do you have a woman? And men, that can also apply too. You have males who stand up and pee, and you have a man who exhibits authority, power, protection, provider abilities and skills, and demonstrates that naturally. So we can get into that. But the first one I'm going to throw at you, the type of person I could not be around anymore, is, a female that have low self-esteem. Of course, we all have things that we're not happy with about ourselves, or, things that we wish that we can change. And we all have bad moods and stuff like that. For instance, I bared mine, my acne. I had cystic acne really bad, and I have, hyperpigmentation, have scars. But how I carry myself, when I walk into a room or a situation, I walk in there and I know that I'm the most beautiful woman in that room, and I'm going to act like it. And if I may have like a zillion bumps over here, I'm going to fake it till I make it. I'm going to do it. My favorite song is Walk It Like I Talk It. I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to walk it like I talk it, okay? But I really cannot be around someone who's like, oh my gosh, well, I'm not as pretty as you, Tieesha, or Tieesha this, or Tieesha that. And I'm like, but you are beautiful. Like, you can tell people, like, you're so beautiful, and you can try to build her up as much as you can, to the point where it's taken from you. And then you have to watch out for that, because jealousy happens, where, you have something that they don't. And you have to also look and see if you have some of those traits as well. Like, if you're just so envious of somebody that it's not positive, it's going to be very negative and cause you to do bad things. So, low self-esteem, I can't associate with people who are just way down. Like, own it, build yourself up. Whatever you can fix and change it. And if you can't, just accept it. Like, there's things about you that, I can't do. I mean, yeah, people can be like Tieesha, you're so skinny, you're tall, but when I'm meeting or I go on a date or something, I get immediately judged, like, okay, she don't cook, she don't know how to cook, she don't know her way around the kitchen, all she do is eat and drink water. I want a healthy woman with some curves that can cook. So when I see other sisters who have curves, I'm like, okay, hey sis, can you hook me up with some recipes? But just always having that mindset where you're just low about yourself, that's just not cool. And I can't hang around that. Another one is is, females who are irresponsible. Now that we're in our 30s, those who I hang out with, we're in our 30s real good, okay? Yes, I still lie about my age. However, our 20s were the years to do real reckless stuff and make mistakes. But now that we're in our 30s, we can't do that no more. I'm sorry. It cannot, because now a lot of us in our 30s, we have children who are adults. And so we can't be out here still making mistakes, but we're supposed to be setting the example for our impressionable children. That's that's not where it's at all. And then, just not taking responsibility. Like I was saying, my mom, I'm like, Mom, there are things that were not positive that are still having an effect on me today. Can we try to resolve this, and let's try to deal with this, so you can break cycles and just be better and be a better example for your children who are looking at you right now. I mean, hell, it's some people in their 30s right now who are grandparents. I'm not one. But yeah, being irresponsible will, yeah, definitely show. You cannot do that. Another one is people who are stagnant. And the way to describe them, I saw a meme that somebody had shared with me on Facebook, and it's like, it said, chicks who are still doing bald headed hoe shit. And when I hear about bald headed hoe shit, what I put down, what came to mind when I heard that was like chicks who have no edges, no eyebrows, and still going to beauty supply stores and nail shops, getting their asses kicked, who know better, but they don't do better. You know? Thank you, Khalifa. When you know better, you don't do better. And I'm finding that out a lot. Like a lot of people who I have to put on ignore or unfollow, it's like, dude, you know what you doing is just like, why are you doing these things? Why haven't you grown? Like, why are you in the same place, that we were years ago? Haven't you not accepted the fact that, I don't know, I don't want to get off topic, but uh nor I don't want to give too many examples. I don't want to single people out. But I can sit here and go all day with somebody who's like, well, thank God for this and thank God for that. But I'm like, look, it's you who got up every day and did that. Or why are you not taking the fact that you stayed up, you did all these extra classes, or you sacrificed all these things so that you can get here, but yet you're still regressing and doing what you did before you did all that? If that makes sense, I don't know. But just those who are still in the same place, who won't increase their finances. I'll give you one. This past year, past let's start from 2014. I resigned in 2014 from the police department, and I went to Hawaii. And it was really tough being a military spouse out there, because they knew that I was not from the island. They knew that I was there because of the military, and they knew that um, if they hire you, you'll get trained up and then you'll leave, and then they'll have to pay and train up somebody else. So I experienced a lot of employment discrimination because of that. So yeah, I could have let that be woe is me. Okay, I can't work within the profession or my degree field. Woe is me. So what did I do? Started my own business, and that was the most rewarding thing ever. It was scary because the last person in my family who started a business was my grandfather. He had a dry cleaners back in Cincinnati in the 70s and the 80s, but nobody else had one. Yes, it was scary. Yes, it really was, but I did it. And it since then it has made me a better person, because now that I have a job, I have a confidence where I'm like, you know what? I don't have to take this on the job. I can just go start my own business. And I'm much more careful with my spending and my finances, because having my own business showed me that, yes, I'm not meant to just be an employee. I can take that risk and make an investment in myself and have my own business instead of being stagnant. Like, okay, I need a job. I need this job. What was me? Where's my job? And then you're not taking care of yourself because you're so stressed out about this job. So then you resort to go losing your hair and coping to deal with this job that you don't like. If that makes sense, stand stagnant. Another type of female that I can't be around anymore is reckless females. As I stated, I think I said it before. I put that as irresponsible, but then I say reckless as well. Reckless is still doing dangerous stuff. That's uncalculated. For instance, when I was on the ferry the other day on that video, and those Christians had came up to me just bothering me, I'm not gonna jump up if fist fight nobody. My son is right there unless me and my son were put in a position where our lives were in danger. But I cannot be around somebody who would just fight off a GP, who's not scared to go to in Cincinnati we call it the Justice Center. I don't want to go to the Justice Center, okay? And I'm not trying to, have a rap sheet. I'm not trying to just kick off my shoes and fight. It's you grow up and you're like, okay, I can leave that in the 20s, leave that back there when I didn't know any better. But I can't be reckless and drive and not wear a seatbelt or I don't know, be pregnant but still smoke cigarettes. I see a lot of women doing that. They got big bellies showing and outside smoking cigarettes. That's just real reckless. If you're still, when you get money and it's gone within 24 hours and you turn around and have to borrow from people, that's being real reckless. Another thing is, I don't know, just trusting, being too trusting of people and things around you, like it's gonna always be there. No, it's not. Like where I'm at right now, my new place, I don't own it and I don't feel comfortable because I don't own this place and anything can happen. Like the owners can sell it, or 12 months go by real fast and you got to find somewhere else to live. I can't live reckless and live on the edge like that anymore. I'll take some calculated risk, but I have to have a gain that is worth the risk at the end. Another one that I can't be around is that helpless female. The one who's just woe is me, who is just always got something going on. And it's like, can you dig yourself out of this? And that goes back to, holding themselves accountable. Like, okay, identify what you did to get in the situation and get yourself out of it. Do what you did in reverse to get the hell out of it. I can't stand those who go and cry everything on social media, or every time you contact them crying about something, and it's like, what are you going to do to get out of this? I don't know if I see things this way because of being law enforcement, to where you're dispatched to something and you show up and you have that amount of time to resolve this issue and go to the next call, or get done with this, determine what you're going to do, and then go to the next call. But everything has to be completed really quick. You really don't have time to, like, okay, you got this problem, well, I'm off for the next 3 days and we'll come back and pick this up when I come back to work. No, you got to solve it right then and there. You got to have a game plan. And I don't know. Yes, as women, we do need that support system. We do need, that outlet to drain our emotions. But sometimes you have to end all that and put some action into place. Um, I'm I used to be ashamed of it coming up, when we grew up and we did not have a lot of food and things like that. So versus us sitting in the house and just starving to death and eating toilet paper and stuff, my mom was quick on her feet. Hey, let's go to the food bank, let's go to the church basement and get some food. And so yes, that's helpless for a moment, but you gotta put some kind of plan into action. I don't like contributing. I would straight block you when you send me GoFundMe's every month to help you pay your bills. You know, that's not cool. That's being helpless and not having your shit together to get out of it. And most importantly, I guess I'll go ahead and touch on this whole, R. Kelly thing for this last one, is the female who does not like her children. I cannot stand it when I'm out somewhere, especially at a Walmart or just somewhere where, I'm just, I don't know, and I hear a female, come here, little motherfucker, come here. I don't want to say the N word. This little right here, and I'm like, you really called your child that? Like, you really called your child that? And they don't like their children because they don't like the father of the children. And I'm just like, wow, that's the thing that makes adults who are exhibiting all of this hatred and all this dysfunction they had to grow up around. Thus, they go and date somebody and marry somebody, and then this cycle keeps going. If you don't like it, if you see that someone does not like their children and you see illegal stuff going on with them, or they're just neglected and abandoned, you need to step in. I don't care if you are not in your job capacity as a mandated reporter. It is up to you to intervene and get some resources in there for that child. Okay, we have to stop. We have to stop these children from growing up to be broken adults, because that's what is allowing, you know, parents that know that their daughters are going to go be with somebody who is not for them, and being victimized and them being okay with it. Okay. um no, we have to stop that. The abuse of our children within our homes, the neglect, just throwing them off and pawning them off on people. Yeah, we used to laugh about that. I think it was Ricky Smiley. He had made a parody to Fantasia's song about the baby mamas dropping off your kids at your mama house and stuff like that. It was funny, but when you look at that, like, no, that has lasting effects into adulthood. And then that's where these bad relationships come from. That's where they, begin more fucked up children, and the cycle continues. Um, yeah, as far as the whole R. Kelly pedophilia thing, he's not the only one. It's a lot. And while it's on my mind, the sisterhood of failure, the womanhood of failure, let's not forget about actually, let me go ahead and grab my cup. Got my Sagittarius cup. Y'all know I'm a Sagittarius. So speaking of Sagittarius, one of the most annoying Sagittarius ever, and I'm gonna give a shout out to my girl Art Kathy. She's on Facebook. She also has a YouTube channel, Art Kathy. Look her up. She made a post that says, so three of the most annoying Sagittarius is Janelle Monáe, Tiffany Haddish, and Nicki Minaj. And I'm going to talk about Nicki Minaj for a second, because if y'all going to sit here and talk about R. Kelly, which he is a monster, and, justice needs to be served, we need to talk about everybody who's involved full circle. Nicki Minaj's brother is a pedophile too. And her steak nasty ass went and bonded his ass out of jail. So throw her ass away too. Throw the both of them, throw all of them away. Okay. So if you see anybody who is still supporting known pedophiles, known people who commit the most heinous crimes on children, okay, you need to throw their ass away too. So that's another group of people right there who I cannot mess with at all. Okay. If we want to start talking about some stuff, we're gonna throw them all out there. All right. Victoria, thank you so much. I love your channel. So glad I caught you live. You look beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we get your other comment. Exactly. Yes. So we're gonna put her ass out there too. And while we're right here on the topic of R. Kelly, his wife, ex-wife, Andrea Kelly. Let me talk about her real quick. I put this on Facebook. Now, they count on us in the Black community having short-term memories, and also being the forgive and forget type. I don't forget shit. Okay, even though I worked around JP5 in the military, and I had a bad fight a couple of years ago that, I took a little bump to the head. I don't forget shit. I might forget little small stuff, but I don't forget shit. You remember a show called Hollywood Exes? It was on VH1. Hollywood Exes. And if you download the VH1 app and go to Hollywood Exes, season 1, episode 1 is free for you to watch. Well, Andrea Kelly, also known as Drea Lee, she had the opening spot on that show, on that first episode. And she stated that she was the wife of R. Kelly. She was kind of salty because nobody knew that they were married. Because people only know the only wife of R. Kelly was Aaliyah. So in her little intro to Hollywood Exes, she said that she was used to living a life where she wore Louis, Prada, Gucci, all kinds of other stuff. And she didn't have that no more. And I'm looking at her like, okay, she wants her name out there. She wants attention. And the way for her to get it was to come on Hollywood Exes. Now, she wore that name, Andrea Kelly, although at that time they had been divorced for about, if my math serves me correct, about 3 or 4 years. Now, granted, my mother still wears my father's name to this day. You know, she got it in marriage, and then it's also her children's name. So I never, down women who still maintain their married name because they're children. I say, you know what, if that was me, I'll keep it as well. However, she has been married since then, yet she still wears the name Andrea Kelly. I just got divorced last year, and I refused, even while I was still married, I refused to wear the name of my abuser. I absolutely refused. And, I've been as transparent as I could about that without being that helpless female. And if things were as bad as she portrayed them to be on this documentary on Lifetime, why are you still trying to get your claim to fame off this man? And then she goes to talk about on her Instagram playing his music and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, where are you at? This is very wishy-washy. And these are not little bitty kids. These are grown-up children that they have. Then, speaking of people who are still supporting R. Kelly, I remember the Soul Train Awards 2015. I was in Hawaii when I saw that. And that's when R. Kelly, he was the last performer on there. And you had Erykah Badu. And when she was introducing him, she said, R. Kelly, the man who has done more for Black people than anybody, and we needed to support him. And that's when I wrote her ass off too. So they count us having short memories, but you can't, if we're going to write somebody off, we're going to write somebody off because our children are first, okay? Nobody's there to protect our children but us. And if we allow people, just because they have a good song to come through or because they come throw a couple of dollars your way, then we let them back in. Negative, okay? We've known since we were on those plantations that people are out there to get our children. Not a lot of people, went to go support the Birth of a Nation movie that came out with Nate Parker, with all that stuff around that. But there was a scene in there where they went in there on the plantation and got that little Black child out of the bed of that grown adult, of that slaveholder. Ironically, while this whole R. Kelly stuff was happening, there was an article that was printed in the LA Times, or was posted online by the LA Times, that Sally Hemings should be known as the first lady of the US, of the first Black first lady. And if you don't know who she is, she was the slave enslaved by Thomas Jefferson, and he had multiple children with her. Yes, I believe I shared that on my Tieesha.Essex like page on Facebook. Yes, so while all this is going on, they snuck that little bit in there. I might do a whole video on that. But, okay, if we're going to talk about victims of rape, we're going to do it all the way around, okay? We're going to hold everybody accountable. Those who actually committed the act, the enablers, the contributors, everybody involved, okay? Because this is not cool at all, okay? We're not going to be selective. We're not going to cherry pick it like we do the Bible. We're going to hold everybody accountable, and we're going to get protection for the victims. I really did not like this whole Surviving R. Kelly, because if you don't know, my other channel is Surviving Military Domestic Violence. So the way I see it with this documentary, it was so cheesy, and it was such a, I don't know, it was such a play on emotion. When you go back and look at it through another set of eyes, notice how in this entire in the entire video, they don't give you a moment of silence to think. There's some kind of hypnotizing music playing throughout the entire video, so that while you're trying to follow what the actresses are saying, they're programming this music so that you're kind of lullabied into it. And one thing that I want to ask the crew of this documentary is, what kind of makeup was y'all using? Because as you see, my stuff is getting oily and greasy, and I'm leaving it on the other side of my cup. These chicks done wiped and did all this and did all that. You see how my makeup done came off. They makeup ain't go nowhere. So I want to know what kind of makeup they was using in the hair and makeup trailer, because that was amazing. That won't be, that's the only thing I'll say that was amazing in that. But I really couldn't stand old girl with that ugly deaconess pink, ugly Burlington Easter suit on. She looked a damn mess. Like, one moment she had cornrows, the next moment she had a ponytail hanging like right there. I'm like, what the hell is this? So yeah, it was a real play on emotion, and kind of hypnotizing and putting stuff in, and it was so one-sided. And what was up with the chick with the with the blue hair? Yeah, I remember Tariq had did a little video on her. Her pops was the dude that was in that movie called The Spook That Sat by the Door. I saw that. That was one of the first movies I watched too after I had came out of Christianity. The Spook That Sat by the Door. And her father was this non-black dude, but he was trying to be down. And he's like, I wake up black, I talk black, I'm probably gonna die because I'm black. Well, that's her pops, and I believe that they from Chicago too. I forget her name, but go look at the movie The Spook That Sat Behind the Door. I believe it's here on YouTube to watch it for free. But the movies I mentioned tonight was Goodbye Uncle Tom and The Spook that's Sat by the Door. So make sure you go check those out. If you want me to do another video on different books and movies and stuff that has helped me in my self-study and life after Christianity. Life After Christianity is a group on Facebook. Go check that group. I joined that group too. Life After Christianity. I made some really good friends in there, and you're gonna need to as you're coming out, you're going to lose some friends, but you're going to gain 2 or 3 for every one that you lose. And in the group Life After Christianity, I gained a lot of good, solid friendships, a lot of good, solid people on my timeline, so that when I'm posting something, I get support. And versus somebody come on there and debate me and bother me. They're subscribers on my YouTube channel. Yes, Goodbye Uncle Tom. That is not an easy watch. I think I had to spread that out over about 3 or 4 days, because that was ooh, yeah, you're gonna see it. So I really appreciate y'all coming in here, but yeah, it's you're gonna have to lose some friends in the process when you go on this journey, when you start identifying as black, as I am a black woman, you are a black man, because everybody else identify and put their culture up first. My son and I, we were just in Seattle. We were in Seattle's Chinatown district, and they have no problem. I'm Chinese. I'm Chinese first. I'm this first. You know, I don't want to lose my family. Yeah, but I forget. Yeah, it was Jason Black who said it. Your relatives are just an accident of DNA mixing. I'm quoting loosely. Accidental mixture of DNA. But those who you call your family are those who you choose, and those who stay in your life, and those who build you up. I made a video in 2017. It's on this channel, how Facebook helped me find my family. And I was connecting with my family on my paternal side. And of course, initially they're meeting me. Oh, you're so awesome. Despite your father divorcing you and us divorcing you and your brother as well, which is why you had those hardships of eating at the food bank and eating at the church and things like that, while you had to go join the military, to get college money and to earn a living, you know. Um, you're a great person. You're a great mother. Your son. I'm sorry, my microphone. I knocked that over. I didn't mean to. It made a lot of static. Yeah, you did great things. Your son is awesome. You're doing great things. But the moment they started seeing that your girl was not going to church, no matter how hard her life went, boy, did I start getting the nasty comments on Facebook, get challenged in the inbox, and the straw that broke the camel's back was when there was a group text. I don't know if I was accidentally put into it or if they intended me to be put in there, but it was like, Tieesha is horrible. She keeps talking about the man I serve, and we can't associate with her, and we let her back into the family. I'm like, motherfucker, my DNA kept me in the family. I never left. Okay. My parents were married when I was conceived. Okay, I have my father's last name. Okay, you didn't let me like I'm some kind of orphan, or I grew up around the family and y'all just pulled me in. So I was really upset about that, and I forget who it was that posted this on the comments. I put that on Facebook, and it was a quote by, well, it was a short video by Bobby Hemmett, and it said, "Your family is not the litmus test for who you are. So your family does not determine who you are, and they just don't define you. That's, you are you, and whatever you choose to do in this walk, that's on you. And if they accept it, they accept it. If they don't, to hell with them." Okay. um you said, if your family uses the internet, then they probably can at least entertain and respect your beliefs. Yes, so much info out there to still be a rigid Christian. What is the subject, fam? The subject started out as the toxic womanhood, how to avoid it or how to escape it if you're in it. But now we went through those, so now we're just going over some questions that are being presented, because I'm so happy to be live with everybody. He said, "My stepmother gave me a religious card and money for my birthday. She's really sweet, but if she knew, she'd never talk to me again." I mean, heck, she gave you some money. Let me show you something. I mean, if I could do it all over again, the only thing I would probably change is I don't know. I probably wouldn't do anything different. I would not. Coming out of Christianity, I apologize to my son for forcing him to believe a lie. Um, that's just it. I would not apologize for anything. Um, I would say just continue to do you, but I wouldn't hide, because it's gonna drive you crazy. It really will, because when you can't live and be who you are, and something that you're so passionate about, if you have to hide it, or do it behind closed doors, or be ashamed of it, it's gonna drive you crazy, because they're gonna be the ones living life, living their life. And the one thing that makes me mad about Christians, especially the ones that I encounter and that we have in the black community, they're so self-righteous. They're so self-righteous. These are the ones who are still singing "I Believe I Could Fly" in church, making a sizzle sound. Let me clip it. Let me know if this is better. I'll just clip it to myself, because I had it lower, making a sizzle sound. Is this better? I know it looks weird. I don't know. It looks weird. Is this better? I have a wireless one, but I don't want to tape it to me at the moment. Let me know if you can hear me better. Okay, it's fine. Thank you. Maybe just the connection. It could be the connection too. Because we've had some heavy winds, and of course it's always raining here, so it gets messed up a lot. Thank you so much, Wayne, for that. But I was about to say, yeah, they're so self-righteous where they are the only ones who have the right to go and talk about their Lord and God and have a need to come save people and mess with people. And it's like, no, you don't. Like I said, they're still the ones in church singing, I believe I could fly. They're the ones who excuse all of the most demonic stuff, and I don't say demonic in a Christian sense, but in their book, the most evilest things that happen in church, especially to little children, to victims, and those who are broken or who are sick, they go to these places to be victimized again, you know? And they do absolutely nothing to stop it, nothing. But when you're on your own Facebook page, your own world, and you just expressing how you feel, hey, let's talk about science, let's talk about fact, let's put these things out there. Jesus isn't real. This came from over here. These are things that are affecting our community. They want to come in, oh, we're just going to pray about it, or they want to get mad for you at you for putting out your facts because it hurts their feelings. Somebody great said, feelings never change fact, but fact always changes feelings. So to me, I just say to hell with them, because when I'm on my social media or existing in life, minding my own business, they will come with their rhetoric, you know, their self-righteousness, their whatever. They still let Fantasia come sing and perform in the church, and she was with this other lady husband and got sued for it, you know? But you so self-righteous. Okay, whatever. They just get mad because you call out their nonsense and their bull. And because you're not allowing yourself to remain in that realm to get pity and you're not worthy. All you deserve is crumbs off the master's table. And if I can just touch the hem of his garment, you don't think that way no more. Okay. You're standing on your own 2 feet. Fuck crumbs. I'm preparing my own meal. Okay. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I ain't got time to sit in nobody's church on Sundays. I got stuff to do. Okay. And I believe the ones who are the most bitter at us for leaving Christianity, they're really jealous because they look back at all the time that they wasted. They look back at all the time to waste it. They look in the mirror and see looks they used to have. They're all gone. And they wish they can have that back and enjoy life and, you know, not have that worry that they have that you don't. They want to switch and be in your place. But the one thing that's stopping them is fear. They're scared of the unknown. You cut the lights off, they're afraid of the dark. You know, everything is demonic. Like in that video, the older gentleman that was right there, I told him, look, here this girl is doing some wannabe Reiki on his knee. I mean, on his knee. I'm like, that ain't doing nothing, brother. You know, strengthen up your muscles, get some collagen, eat the right food. If you're carrying heavy loads, take it easy, you know, all the other stuff. The white boy that had got up, he's like, oh, we don't do that. That's witchcraft. And all I did was tell him about collagen and vitamins and exercise, but that's witchcraft. But you sit up here doing fake Reiki on them and calling out to the Walking Dead zombie that you call Jesus to come save him. You know, forget you. Really forget you. And that's what really made me upset, because they like people who are uneducated, who don't know no better, who choose to stay stagnant and stay ignorant, so that when they come with this, oh, we have this Bible, you know, you think it's the greatest thing on earth. But if you were able to educate yourself, you would know it's a book of bullshit. That's why on the plantation, they didn't allow us to read or have access to anything but the Bible, because it keeps you stupid. I mean, imagine if you spent your entire life in coloring books from Dollar Tree and that's all you did your entire life. Look at all the other books that you're missing out on, you know? Kevin Wesley's family said his sickness was due to his atheism. Christians are evil and they like seeing non-believers suffer. That's exactly it. Because every time something happened in my life, when my mom, and even when I was still in Christianity, everything that went wrong is because I'm not serving the Lord the way I should. If I was broke, I wasn't tithing the way I should. If if something was happening, it's a test. The devil was getting at me to drive me back to the church. And that's the most stupidest thing ever. That's the most stupidest damn thing ever in the world to believe. And you said, have an imaginary friend and we don't. And they're the ones who are superstitious, not us. There's a logical explanation for everything. It really is a logical explanation. I wouldn't be so upset with them. I mean, even if they just threw the whole Christianity thing away, a lot of Christians still go and seek out, like tarot card readings. I had a family member in my inbox because once I left Christianity, I started just exploring everything that they said was demonic or evil. I ran to it. I really did. I went to everything from tarot card readings. I got a couple Ouija boards in the other room, all that stuff. I ran to it. So, you want to share your journey on your Facebook page and social media, period. And I had a family member hit me up in my inbox and ask me if I can give her a tarot card reading to see if the dude that she's talking to is really going to leave his wife. And oh my gosh, that was so funny because when I had first made my bio when I still had my personal page as Tieesha.Essex, and on my bio it said ex-Christian, something. And they was asking me like, what does this ex-Christian mean? And then they kind of, I think they blocked me, or they put the message on Facebook to where I could not reply back. So I guess they figured I was going to cuss them out. But I'm like, I'll tell you what an ex-Christian is. I wear it proudly. But then they came back and asked me to give them a tarot card reading to see if that dude was going to leave his wife. And that was just so funny because many people in the church and all that, they will go and pray to God for something, but when God don't come through, then they run to those who are in the so-called dark magic and the other stuff, as they say. It is hilarious that they're just a bunch of freaking scaredy cats. But then when you give them a tarot card reading or whatever, then they want to run to church because they're like, oh, it didn't work out and I had no business running to, get the tarot card reading. And the older ones, you remember them, they was back in the day keeping Miss Cleo in business. They was calling up Miss Cleo, but then they run themselves to the church and ask for forgiveness because the scripture said don't go to witches and sorcerers and all kinds of stuff like that. It's just they fear what they don't know. They fear what they don't know. And it's quite sad because you start seeing the effects of that on them. You see those years of worry, like they're worrying about life after death. Nobody has brought back a receipt to tell you that there is a life after death. You can believe in reincarnation. You can believe you're going to heaven and, you're going to go up there and drink honey and milk. But I'm like, where the milk going to come from? Is it going to be lactose-free milk? You going to have almond milk, coconut milk? Where the cows going to be at? Do cows go to heaven too? The bees are dying out. So I don't think there's going to be a supply of honey up there. It's going to be high fructose corn syrup. It's you present these things to them to really mess with them and pick with them. But they just crazy, the hypocrisy. Yes, it is. And once you come out of Christianity in that fear, you start appreciating life. Like, I'm serious, my years started slowing down, because when I was in Christianity, I'm like, oh my gosh, gotta make sure that my life is right so I can get to God. Now, my mindset is I gotta make sure my life is right so that my future generations are not eating at the food bank the way I was, the way, they were getting clothes out the church basement and getting food that was expired out the church basement. I had to make sure that I have my generational wealth and my children are set up. And then most importantly, I got to make sure that I'm right so that I can be that example and teach them what they need to know. I look forward to the day where my grandchildren or whatever great grandchildren look back on YouTube and say, "Hey, that's my grandmother right there. She don't have on a Snapchat filter. She ain't twerking, you know." And they're learning something. Like they can hear my voice and they can say, "Hey, that is grandma, and that's dad when he was younger, and look at what they were doing." You know, I want that positivity, you know, my stamp in the world of the internet, and whatever's left of me, they'll have my money and they'll have my teachings, you know. And Victoria says, and teach a child they're gonna burn to hell is abuse. Yes, it is. I was a horrible mother. Like I said, I had to apologize to my son. He was actually baptized the year before I left Christianity. And I used to play all these songs. Now, I will admit, if there was any gospel song that I can still listen to this day, I like, I can't say I like, because I haven't listened to it since I left. But if I had to listen to any gospel artist or whatever today, I would listen to probably Donald Lawrence. You know, just that upbeat kind of cheer. I can listen to that. But I used to play music that was just really scary. Oh my God, I was a terrible mother. I was a terrible mother. And so it was one song in particular that is just the worst. And it's by CC Winans called Just Like You Jesus. And that song is absolute trash to the 15th power. The lyrics are like, I want to walk like you. I want to talk like you. I want to look like you, just like you, Jesus. And the way it sounds, it's like an easy to follow kiddie song. And I will tell you that is an act of child abuse, treason to play that around a black child, to sing that as a black person, especially when we have that image of Caesar Borgia, and then how Jesus didn't even defend himself. Like he let some items from Home Depot, you know, take him out. But then we look at us as black people, we have had those who have became shark bait, those who have been hung on trees, those who've had their backs ripped off, you know, children used as alligator bait in Florida. You know what I'm saying? We have went through some shit and we're still going through it, and we're talking about some looking like you Jesus, you know? And like I said, if my son was to put me in the worst nursing home, it would be because of that reason. But I believe I've redeemed myself, you know, by taking him to go walk the grounds where Nat Turner was in Virginia. That was absolutely beautiful, and that just empowered. Like I still talk about that to this day, and it's happened what, going on 3 years ago. You know, it was just so powerful and really, you know, was that link to erase, you know, those mistakes that I did being a Christian. And I did that because it was tradition. My mom took us to church on Easter, and, you know, we did all this. You get your baby baptized. I talked about that on the Wild Left Christianity. I went to boot camp and got baptized, you know, because on Sundays, that was the only day that you can get a break in basic training, which was what my ancestors went through. You slave all week, and then on Sundays, you go to church to learn how to be a better slave, then continue the cycle on Monday. That's how I was in basic training. Exactly how I was. Victoria, you said you're taking your boys there this summer. Yes, you're going to have a great time in that area of Virginia. I know that Wayne can confirm this as well. You have a lot, there's a lot of blood that was shed by our ancestors in Virginia. You know, like I said, I had my most significant, and I hope that's the most what I had to endure when I went through the racism there. But there's so much of our ancestors' blood on those streets. You know, it is an energy that is there, is a power that is there. And you can go to, what is it, the Hampton History Museum in Hampton, Virginia. It has some stuff there, and that's where I learned about the contrabands of war, where the enslaved Africans, they went to Fort Monroe, and even the military couldn't even save them from slavery. They camped out on Fort Monroe, and they were just contrabands of war. So yeah, there's a lot of our history, our story there. Fort Comfort. Yeah, I believe I was reading about that on I actually saw the actual videos and the historic marker on what is it, Dane Calloway's channel. Yes, it's crazy. It is crazy. It was something else there. The Dred Scott, his historic marker is there, right around the corner from the Nat Turner Trail. So Elder Khalifa, he does the tours, and he owns the Nat Turner Library where you're gonna go. And speaking of that, just riding there, you're gonna see, it's like, I don't know, driving there was an experience I can't really describe, because like we were riding there and you see the cotton fields, and then a little bit on the Sentinels. I subbed. Yes. I'll send you a message, or I'll link it in this video where I talked about the Nat Turner Trail. But just riding there, you see the cotton fields, and it's like you see these little flashes of history where you actually see our ancestors out there, and you begin to kind of just go back in time, and you feel them there. And when we were looking for the Kujichagulia Village, which is the Nat Turner Library where the tour starts, we're riding through there like, okay, you kind of scared. You feel like you in the movie Get Out, like, okay, what am I doing around these parts? But then you see the RBG flag on his mailbox, and you feel like, okay, I'm home. And that's my first, like, okay, we're safe. Turn into here. We're safe. And that's where it was. And it's just a great time. I would love to go back. And the only thing that I regret is that I did not know about it soon. I was in Virginia for 11 years, and I did not go to it until after I had left. I didn't start, and that was when I was coming out of Christianity. I left in 2014, and that's when I was coming out of it. And so I'm like, wow, why didn't I know about this sooner? So this is just a journey. I want you to know that it is okay to question everything around you. That's like how the opening to the X Files was. You've got to just question everything, believe nothing. Feelings don't change fact. Fact changes feelings. And yes, I believe it was Sister Shahrazad Ali who said that we still need a debrief from slavery. We really do, because a lot of the things that we're still doing is still ingrained in us from slavery, especially right now with not protecting our children, not holding ourselves accountable, not discontinuing the fuck shit that we've been doing. We gotta stop it. I was thinking about this earlier. I was in a position where I was talking with someone, and I thought that they were older than what they were. I'm like, okay, I'm listening to them and showing them respect. So I'm thinking that they're an elder. They said that they was born in 1989. I'm like, damn. I mean, I'm older than them. And I'm like, wow. So I was like, wow, you can really tell who drinks, their recommended amount of water a day versus those who drink that and, hard liquor and that street life. So really take a look at what you're doing. Is that causing your demise or encouraging your longevity? Okay. Because there's profit in you being sick, and there's even more profit when you die. Okay, they're gonna get that last little squeeze of money out of you at your funeral, and if you ain't got nothing to leave to your heirs, you need to try to live a little bit longer. Okay, so yes, I've been out here for an hour and 13 minutes, and I'm so happy, that I was able to get my nerves together and come and connect with you guys on this video. I want to continue peeling back the layers and really encouraging, us to become better. And, There's no better way to do it. When you cut on the TV, we see fuck shit, like Love and Hip Hop and all kinds of other stuff. And I'm not singling that out, but a lot of these things, are putting us in a position where we're becoming more desensitized, and it's easier to come in and exploit our children. It's easier to come in and, cause, destruction in our lives. It's easier to come in and give us the tools to destroy ourselves. Okay. So I will be better at, putting the message out there for next week. It probably will be again on a Thursday. I like Thursdays for some reason. I don't know. But I'll make sure I advertise it on Facebook. I'll put it here under the community tab, and I'll put it in the description. So if you have anything that you would like for me to discuss, I was going to name this series The Unchurched, but I don't want to scare people away, but I want to hit on topics that we can really work on and do better. And also, I'm not there yet. I'm still in this journey to become I'll say I'm on a journey to my 100th birthday. So I have to start now. Things that we do now impact us later, negative or positive. There's stuff in my 20s, in my teens, wearing the wrong shoes caused me to need bunion surgery in my 20s, so things that we do, they impact us later. So I want to make sure I'm doing the right things now so that I'm not a hard 100 or I don't make it to 100. I want to celebrate my 100th birthday and beyond. And I want a lot of you guys to be there with me. Okay. We're not fearing death. We're not fearing nothing. We're growing. We're learning. We're not going to be stagnant, and we're going to hold each other accountable. Okay. How do we find a woke one? What you like to say? Hey, wake up. I'm playing. Yes, that is a good one. As I was saying, it just, for me, I wasn't always in this place. I was doing some real, I was on some bald headed whole shit. Yes, like that video of me shaving off all my hair, a while back, nobody would have ever thought that because I was so dependent on my weaves, my sew-in, oh my gosh. I even did bald-headed whole stuff. Like I would get my sew-in done, and that's when you still used to smoke in the club, and my weave would smell like cigarettes, and I ain't even gonna get into that. But when you know better, you do better. Like, yeah. So we will definitely get into that one, Wayne. That is a good one. And I need for you to still let me know what's going on in Virginia. I want to get back to the East Coast pretty soon. I miss North Carolina. Some of the sweetest people was in North Carolina. Some of the most finest gentlemen was over there, okay? So yes, I do need to get out of these Seattle parts and reconnect with the rest of the world, over the course of this year. So I will see y'all in the next video. Make sure you invite somebody over here for next week. I will make sure I give you advance notice where I'll be. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And any questions, comments, put them down below. You can inbox me, hit me up on my other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Vero, all the other places, and I will see y'all next week. So good night, Victoria, Wayne, and everybody else who joined me, and everybody else who will. Make sure you subscribe and also hit the notification bell. Okay, there you go. Hit the bell, y'all, so you get the notification, and I will see y'all next week. Okay, have a great one.